A lot of people think that they need to build a concrete bunker to have a fire-resistant house, and while that certainly would help, it's simply not practical or affordable for the majority of the US market, and especially not in these areas that are prone to wildfires. But what if I told you that you could build a house with conventional wood framing that can actually resist a wildfire? In this video, we're going to walk through several fire-resistant assemblies for your walls, roof, and foundation that you can use on your own home build that actually use conventional wood framing and not some alternative building techniques. Let's get into it. So, if you have to build out of stuff that burns, let's keep that stuff inside and not exposed to the outside where it can actually burn. This sounds obvious, but what's the first thing that we do when we build an attic or crawl space? Many people tend to vent them. For all intents and purposes, those spaces are outside of the building enclosure and susceptible to embers being sucked into these spaces. So a lot of what we'll be discussing is how we're altering many of our familiar and typical building assemblies in a way that reduces fire risk, and how we're changing up some of the materials to make them more fire resistant. So for our wall assembly, you'll notice that this actually doesn't look too different from one of our typical walls that we recommend. However, there are a few key differences. Perhaps the most obvious feature is the exterior insulation. We're calling out rock wool comfort board, which is a rigid mineral wool product, to be installed continuously on the outside of the building. Now, this provides a lot of thermal and durability benefits by helping to prevent condensation, but it also will help to protect the structure from fire by providing a buffer between the exterior environment and the wall cavity. So if there happens to be burning vegetation or burning branches that fall next to the house, it's going to take a really long time for the wall to heat up. Rock wool insulation is also made out of rock, so it's non-combustible and has a very high melting point, unlike rigid foams. Think of this as a giant fire blanket around your entire building. Then, to attach the cladding, we're using metal hat channels instead of wood furring strips, since hat channels are non-combustible, and those can either be screwed through the rigid insulation or attached to clips or girts that are directly fastened to the structure. For the cladding, we've called out a fiber cement paneling, which is highly fire-resistant, affordable, and durable, but you could also use a metal siding of your choosing or any other non-combustible and durable cladding option. I personally like using a true brick veneer, but it tends to be quite costly these days, so we're sticking with fiber cement. For the water-resistive barrier, we want to use something that won't immediately ignite, and we want to make sure that the product is bonded to the substrate of the sheathing to prevent the migration of air. In this case, we have Blueskin VP 100, which is a self-adhered water and air control layer that also happens to be vapor open. Air movement between the sheathing joints can allow fire to enter the structure, so we want to eliminate the potential for this entirely and ensure that the only openings in the enclosure are windows, doors, and dedicated penetrations for mechanicals, electrical services, and exhaust vents. These are the openings that we can control. A self-adhered membrane is also going to help to prevent bugs from getting inside. Now, for the sheathing, we're specifying plywood that's been chemically treated with a fire retardant. You could just as well use a gypsum sheathing like Den's Glass Gold if you wanted to eliminate a fuel source altogether, but for this assembly, we've called out the fire retardant treated plywood since that's consistent with typical light framing. There are some products on the market that have intumescent coatings, which means that the coating on the sheathing swells and forms a foam-like fire-resistant skin that slowly chars and protects the substrate that it's bonded to. You can use any non-combustible insulation to fill the cavities, but our preference would be either rock wool bats or dense pack cellulose insulation. Both perform exceptionally well in a fire, whereas materials like fiberglass tend to allow fire to travel more easily within the stud cavities. Some people may question the fire resistance of dense pack cellulose since it's made of recycled paper, but it's treated with borates, which gives it fire retarding properties and preserves the wood, and the fact that it tightly fills the entire stud cavity will significantly limit the amount of air that moves through the insulation, making it a great option if you want to use something other than rock wool. Now, for the roof assembly, remember that we want to avoid vented attics. Vented attics can suck embers into them, and that's actually how the LA fires spread so rapidly last year. So we want to design an unvented attic or unvented roof assembly. If you're in a hot climate, that being climate zones 1, 2, or 3, we can take advantage of a great strategy that allows us to have an affordable unvented roof assembly with a conditioned attic just by tweaking a typical vented roof assembly. This is a vapor diffusion port. It keeps water and air out of the ridge, but allows vapor to pass through. Now, we have a couple of videos discussing vapor diffusion ports, which you can go and watch up here, but the idea is that we can manage the vapor that accumulates at the ridge due to hygric buoyancy by allowing it to dry through this vapor open membrane. The membrane is taped to this peel and stick underlayment, which provides our water and air seal, and then we can roof over this with any roof covering of our choosing. Metal, concrete, or terracotta tiles tend to be the most fire-resistant options, but you could select asphalt shingles, and this system would still work. Just make sure that you use a vented ridge cap to allow that moisture diffusing out of the diffusion port to escape. Remember, this still isn't a vented roof, we just need a little bit of air through the ridge cap to remove the vapor beneath there. Now, with this strategy, we can insulate with any unfaced insulation bat or any blown-in insulation, but we would recommend using either rock wool or dense pack cellulose for the same fire resistance benefits that we discussed for the wall cavities. For the foundation, all foundation systems can be made to work with this fire-resistant house design. However, we want to completely avoid vented crawl spaces or open pier and beam foundations. We don't want embers starting fires underneath our floor system, as this can burn the structure from the bottom upwards. If you have a crawl space, it must be designed as an unvented crawl space, which is basically just treating it as a mini basement. We want to control and condition the air in the crawl space and ensure that we keep the crawl space floor uncoupled from the ground below. This isn't what most people think of when they picture a crawl space. We are talking about a space that is clean, tight, and conditioned. We also want to keep vegetation away from the house if possible. If a wildfire passes through, you don't want to have a burnable fuel source right up against your house, since this will only challenge the integrity of the assemblies if the vegetation ignites. We've designed fire-resistant assemblies, not fireproof assemblies. Having a perimeter of river rock or gravel around the perimeter of the house will also provide a safer place for embers or cinders to extinguish themselves. Guys, if you found this video helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more weekly building science videos, and head over to our website at assyria-designs.com, where we have over 150 free building science articles that cover a wide range of topics. Links will be in the description below. For now, good luck with your projects. Cheers.